guys, welcome back or welcome to my channel if you're new here. Today's video is going to be another reading vlog, and the theme of this reading vlog is a little bit different. I'm trying something new. I'm not sure how it's gonna go, but I had this idea, so I'm just gonna go with it. And the idea is seeing how much I read in 24 hours, except I'm not doing 24 hours like in one go or 12 hours back to back. It's not a readathon. I'm just gonna take all of my blocks of reading, like my chunks of time of reading, put it together, see how long it takes me to get 24 hours, and then also see how much I read within those 24 hours. So how many books I read, how many pages I read, that kind of thing. And I also have no idea how long this is gonna take me. I read about like 2 hours a day-ish. So that's probably like 12 days, but probably give or take a few. So I'm gonna say like anywhere from 10 days to 2 weeks. So this could be a very long vlog. I have no idea how many books you're gonna see, no idea anything like that. Like I feel like it's gonna be a journey and we'll go on it together. So hopefully this is successful. I feel like this is a fun idea. I know that there are so many like book related videos around 24 hours, but I don't really like the idea of reading for 24 hours straight. I think it would be kind of miserable. I think eventually I will challenge myself to do it, but I still wanted to do something centering around 24 hours. So like I said, I'm gonna build up all of my hours of reading to 24 hours and see what I can get done in that time. I feel like it's also sort of a how much do I realistically read in a week, except it might be a little bit longer than a week, but a lot of people do those types of videos as well. So I feel like that is also the vibe. And currently I am reading Final Girls by Riley Sager. I'm not really loving it. I'm a little bit into it. I'm on page 86, and this is on my May TBR. I think I've read 3 out of 6 books on my May TBR already, so this would be a 4th. I do really like to try and accomplish the TBR, so I think I'm gonna power through even though I'm not loving this book yet, but there is a potential for a DNF because I don't know, I'm like, it's not really grabbing me in, and usually fillers have hooked me by this point, but we will see. I'll probably start reading this a little bit later. It's around 5 o'clock on Monday, so I will check back in with you guys when I do some reading. Also, I feel like for this video, I'm not going to be like discussing and reviewing the books too much because there is potential that there will be like a lot of books in this video. So I think my discussions and check-ins will be pretty brief, or I'm going to try and keep them brief. I tend to yap on and on and on about books, so I will try my best because otherwise this could be a very long video. So yeah, I hope you guys like the sound of this video and enjoy. Okay, I'm about to start the stopwatch. Hopefully, I always remember to start and stop this when I'm reading and I stop reading because that could be the downfall of this entire video. So I'm gonna try very hard to remember that, but I'm gonna start this and then we will stop it probably a long time later when we hit 24 hours. I'm going to read Final Girls by Riley Sager, and I think I'll probably be able to get in like an hour and a half tonight. I'm starting a little bit late. It's 7 o'clock and I usually go to bed like 9-ish, 10-ish. So we will see how much I get done. It also probably will depend on how much I'm liking this book. So we're gonna start. Hey guys, it is the next day now. It is Tuesday afternoon. It's about 1:30. I'm about to head to the beach and get some reading done, so I thought I would pop in and do a little update. I did get pretty far into this book yesterday. I'm around page 200 and I read for like around an hour and 40 minutes, so that's pretty much what I thought I would accomplish, and I'm happy that I was able to get that amount in. I think that I'll probably read on the beach for an hour or two. My plan is just to finish this book. After I talked to you guys, it actually started to pick up a lot, and I actually couldn't put it down at one point. Like I had to force myself to put it down to go to sleep, but I was actually very invested in the story. I'm getting very into it. If you don't know what this book is about, it follows our main character Quincy, who is part of this media group called the Final Girls, and they are all the lone survivors of massacres. So there are 3 Final Girls. So one of the other Final Girls died, which brings everything back to Quincy. It becomes front of mind for her, everything that happened all those years ago. She also meets up with another one of the Final Girls, and a lot of things ensue. So this is following that storyline in the present, but then there's also some chapters in the past, which are like during, after, or before the massacre that Quincy went through. It is called the Pine Cottage Massacre, I believe, and it was pretty much all of her friends took a trip in the woods and everyone was murdered except for her. So you are getting little hints of that, and I'm actually finding that part to be very creepy, and it's keeping me very engaged because I know what is about to happen to this group of friends, but it hasn't happened yet, and like Every chapter I read in the past tense, I'm like, oh my gosh, is it gonna happen in this? Like, I'm getting like nervous and on the edge of my seat. The present is also starting to be pretty entertaining. There is some stuff going on. I feel like I wish there was probably more going on, but it is starting to come to a more like climax, I would say. And I'm having questions, I'm having theories, I have some ideas of what I think is going on, which I do love to do that in a thriller. So that is starting to happen, which is a good feeling. And overall, I'm starting to really like this book more than I was in the beginning. I would say it's definitely turning around for the better. And yeah, I think I'll finish this today. Also, I wouldn't really recommend reading this book alone at night. It's definitely pretty creepy. Thrillers don't creep me out too much necessarily, but this one, it's doing it. It's a little creepy. Don't read alone at night if you get scared easily. Okay, I just finished Final Girls and I ended up actually really liking it. I don't know if I loved it, but I definitely really enjoyed it. I'm not sure on the rating yet, and maybe I'll give you a little bit more in-depth of a review at some point. I don't know, but I have been reading for about 3.5 hours total now. So that is the count so far. Also, I will say, just in case I don't talk about this book more, I wanted to make sure I said this. The shock did get me, which is always pretty important in a thriller. I had some suspicions and theories, and my suspicions were wrong. And I definitely gasped right before the reveal was made. I like kind of got it the second before, but like literally 2 lines before it was announced. So I wouldn't really say that counts as me guessing it. But it was definitely shocking, and I think it was a good twist. It wasn't the best twist of all time, but like a good enough twist that I'm satisfied. Hey guys, it is the next day. It is Wednesday now, and as you saw in the last clip, I started this book, A Torch Against the Night, last night. I probably only read it for 20-30 minutes or so, and I got to page 24, so nothing major. I just wanted to read a little something before I fell asleep, and this is the second book in the An Ember in the Ashes series, I think it's called. I don't know, but I started the series last month and I really loved it, so I'm very excited to get back into it. I gave the first book a 5 stars, and if you want like my detailed thoughts on that book, I actually have a reading vlog for it if you're interested. I think it is a really good YA fantasy. There's a little bit of a slow burn romance. It's just, it gives me Hunger Games Divergent vibes. I don't really know what else to say to quickly describe it because there's kind of a lot behind it. I don't know how this book is gonna go, but so far I'm liking it, and I'm very excited because I have a lot of time to read tonight. It's probably the most time I have all week. I'll probably be able to get like 3 hours in or something like that because it is 5:48. I always show my phone and the screen is so bright that you can't see. It is 5:48 and I go to bed maybe like 9:30-ish or so. So we have lots of time to read. So my goal is gonna be 3 hours, and I'm currently at 3 hours and 50 minutes so far. So we might be able to get to around 7 hours by the end of tonight. That will be my goal. I'm gonna shoot for that. And then for a little recap from yesterday, I read for a total of 2 hours and 7 minutes, which brought me to my almost 4 hours. And I finished Final Girls and I started this book. So that's kind of where we're at. Okay, so I have read for about another hour and I feel like I need to give an update, or not an update, but I do feel like I want to tell you guys what this book is about or what the series is about, because in case you want to read it, like I really think you should read it. So I'm going to try and like convince you to, and I can't convince you to if I don't say anything about the series. So I'm going to try and like briefly describe the first book. So the first book follows 2 characters, Leia and Elias, and it is sort of like a little slow burn romance between them, although the romance isn't like a huge plot. It's very minor, but it's there and it's like perfect throughout the entire book. Elias is a martial soldier, and martials are like the highest part in this they call it the Empire. So the marshals are the highest class in the Empire, and then Leia is a scholar slave girl. Elias is a soldier, except he's like a soldier traitor. Like he doesn't believe in the martial rule because he thinks they're cruel and all of that. And the majority of the first book takes place at the military academy where Elias is training to be a soldier. He is almost graduating. It's called Blackcliff Academy, something like that. And Leia is a slave in the school for like the leader of the school. So that is how their paths cross, because they're in the same place. And as you can assume, their paths cross eventually. They're sort of like star-crossed lovers, although it's not very heavy on the lover aspect. I think it'll grow and build throughout the books, and that's not really a spoiler. Like, if you know anything about YA fantasy, like romance fantasy, like you'll know from the very beginning, from the very first time you open that book, what's gonna happen. So that is pretty much what happens in the first book. And then this second book, it is sort of like a quest plot. I've read a few books like this, fantasy books. I feel like that is a common theme or a common like device or plot line, storyline for at least one of the books in a series, and this is definitely a quest. I'm not going to tell you what the quest is because that would be a spoiler. Another thing about this book that's interesting is that a third perspective is introduced, and I didn't think I would like it at first, but I think I'm going to enjoy it actually as I read on. So that is my update for now. Okay, so I couldn't quite make it to 3 hours, but I read for a little bit over 2, which brings me to 6 hours total, like on the dot for this little video, and that also means we are a quarter of the way through, and I'm reading at the pace I thought, like 2 hours per day, because it's been 3 days and I've read for 6 hours. Hey guys, so I figured that I needed to give this vlog a little bit of an update. It is currently Friday of Memorial Day weekend. I didn't read anything last night or yesterday, which was Thursday, so I'm still at the 6 hours, which I think is like the last thing I showed you guys. And today I am going home for Memorial Day weekend, and I am staying at home for another week, so the second half of this vlog will be in a different setting. But all of that to say, I think that this is my last verbal check-in for a few days. Like, I'll probably talk to you guys again on like Sunday or Monday, but I do plan on doing some reading throughout the weekend. I don't know how much I'm gonna be able to fit in because I'm spending a lot of time with friends and family, but this is just like a little update on where things are going. Today is a travel day. I have 5 hours of travel, so I probably should be able to get in a good bit of reading today. And yeah, I will like show you guys little clips of where I'm reading, what the time on the clock is. Also, I do have some time before the travel day actually starts. I think it's like 11:45 right now, and my boyfriend said he's gonna get here at 1, and then he's coming home with me, so the whole travel day will start then. And I think in the meantime, I've already packed up. I have nothing else to do. I think I'll do some reading in the meantime, which is perfect. And I'm still on this book, A Torch Against the Night, and it's good so far. I don't think I have any updates from the last time I spoke to you about it, but yeah, I'm gonna go read this, and I'm very excited. I'm so excited for this weekend. I feel like it's the kickoff of summer, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. Good morning. It is now Tuesday after Memorial Day weekend, and we have quite the update catch up to give because it's been like 4 days since I've talked to you. So I have gotten the timer or the stopwatch hour count, whatever you want to call it, to 10 hours and 19 minutes. So that means I read a little bit over 4 hours since I last spoke to you. And it was in a bunch of chunks because, like I predicted, I didn't have too much time to read over the holiday weekend. I was doing a lot. I was very busy, but I read some on the train and ferry on the way here, which is home. And I also read by the pool one day. And then yesterday I had a lot of time to read in the morning and then at night, kind of after all of the holiday festivities were done. And I've actually started reading another book as well. So I'm still reading A Torch Against the Night, but I had an opportunity to read at some point when this book wasn't available to me, or it was. This book was way more available, so I just decided to pick it up, and I read actually a lot of this. 80 pages. It was very quick and fast and easy to read. This is Ghosted by J.M. Darhauer. It is a second chance romance, and it is sort of about a Hollywood heartthrob who, I don't exactly know the details, but it appears that he abandoned his family and now he is trying to get them back, which I actually love that sort of storyline. I've watched a movie with that storyline, and I feel like I'm gonna really love this book and where it goes. I love when there's a little kid in a book. I love when it's like single parent-esque, that kind of stuff. So I think I'm gonna really enjoy this, and I will continue reading this after I finish this book, which I'm actually pretty close to finishing. I'm on page 369, and I think it's just under 450 pages. So I will definitely finish this book today. I plan on doing a lot of reading over the next couple of days. So I feel like it took me a while to get to 10 hours because I started this video last Monday. It's now Tuesday, so it's been like over a week, and I feel like the second half of the hours, like the next 14 hours, are gonna go by much quicker, kind of because I planned it this way. Like, I'm home for this week and I'm not gonna be doing much work. I work for myself, if you guys don't know, and I actually run a food blog, so I'm not gonna be in my kitchen, so I'm not gonna be doing too much work, so there will be lots of time to read. I'm planning on finishing this today, like I said, and I'm really enjoying it. It is definitely not as good as the first book. Like, the first book gave me such a 5-star feeling. This is not giving me a 5-star feeling, but I am enjoying it. It's exciting, the plot is good, it's entertaining, it's very like easy to flip through, and like I'm finding myself not wanting to go on my phone or stop reading, which is definitely good for this type of video that I'm making. So I think that is my update. I read for 4 hours and 19 minutes since I last spoke to you, and it was 81 pages of this and it was 209 pages of this. So that is where we are at, and I'll check back in probably when I finish this book. Okay, time for a little update. I'm literally sitting outside on my back deck because my parents are inside. As you know, I'm home with them and I am not about to talk to my camera in front of them. Maybe eventually I will get up to that point, but as for now, no. So I came outside to do my little update, and it's actually gorgeous out right now. Like, I could definitely sit out here and read for a bit. But anyway, I got to 12 hours today by finishing that other book, and I read a bit more in this. I'm gonna check what page I'm on. I think I'm on, okay, 132, and I'm kind of struggling with it right now. To me, it's kind of slow and boring at the moment, and like I want to get a lot more hours in tonight, maybe like 2 or 3 more hours, and I don't know if this book is going to cut it, so I might have to switch to another book. I'm going to try. I think I'll read an hour more of this book, and if I'm not super into it at that point, I'll switch to another book, just because, like I said, I want to get some reading done. And yeah, I don't know why, it's just like a little slow. I'm not really feeling it at the moment. As for the other book, I might give a more in-depth review of it at some point, but my overall thoughts are that I liked it, I enjoyed it, it was fast-paced, it was adventurous, it was fun, all of that stuff, but it was definitely nowhere near as good as the first one, like nowhere near. So that's a little disappointing. I still had a good time, but I don't know, to me this one just felt like a little bit more silly, a little bit more YA. The other one didn't feel YA to me, the first book, and yeah, like I said, I might do a more in-depth review in this vlog on that, or I just might talk about it in like my May reading wrap-up. I'm not sure. So yeah, this is my update for now, and I'm gonna go back inside and do some reading, or maybe do some reading out here, but reading it will be. Okay, it is the next day now. It is Wednesday, and I only got the stopwatch to 12 hours and 49 minutes. I don't know if you can see that. 12 hours and 49 minutes because I got very sleepy last night and I fell asleep and I didn't get too much reading in, and I think it has part to do with that book. I'm definitely not loving it, honestly. There are these flashbacks to them back in high school, so like I said, it's a second chance romance, and it like flashes back to high school and them like initially falling in love, I guess, or their initial relationship, and I don't like what's happening there. It's like very cheesy, and like all of a sudden it got very intense and they're so in love all of a sudden, and like, I don't know, I'm just not liking the plot there, and I'm also not liking the way it's told there. It's like this very confusing point of view, and I don't know, it's like the weirdest way I've ever seen a story told, like point of view wise. So I'm stopping that book for now. I don't know if I'll continue it, but for now it's a little bit of a DNF, and I'm just gonna go and read Same Time Next Summer by Annabelle Monaghan, or Monaghan, I'm not sure how to say her last name, but this is actually in my June TBR, so it's not June, it's May 29th. So I'm reading it a little bit early. I'm like kind of cheating, I don't really know, but this is one of the few books I brought home with me, and I feel like it'll be a good book to read. It's like what I'm feeling the most into, and also I feel like it's early, like I'm starting it close to June, but I think there's still enough days in May where I will probably finish this if I like it, because it's very short. I think it's like under 300 pages. Yes, literally 285. This is perfect. This is like totally what I need, because that other book was not doing it. I was not wanting to pick it up, nothing. It was giving book slump, and that is not gonna work for this video. So I'm gonna start my timer now. It's 4 o'clock, so we have tons of time to read. I'm not sure if I will do tons of time, but there's potential. So I'm gonna start the timer and just get some reading done. Also, hopefully I don't wanna put this down and I fly through it and I don't stop and we get some hours. Okay, already things are looking up. It is set on Long Island, and they are literally on the Long Island Expressway driving out to Long Island for the summer. They're going to the beach. They're talking about the beach already on the first page. Perfect vibes. This is just what I need because literally I'm currently on Long Island for summer. So perfect. This might be a really bad angle because of the sun. I don't think the lighting is very good, but I just wanted to give a quick update. I'm 50 pages in, 13 hours and 25 minutes, and it is so good. So cute. I am absolutely loving this. Like, I'm devouring it. I feel like I'm gonna be done with it in no time. I'm obsessed. Hey guys, it is now Thursday and I finished this book a little earlier, and reading it took me to 16 hours on the clock, which I think means we are 2/3 of the way through. So we are progressing, definitely. And I absolutely loved this book. It is a perfect summer beach read. It is a second chance romance, and a good part of the book takes place in their like first go around. So it's a good like first love, childhood friends to lovers, innocent first love kind of thing. Like, that was super cute. I love that. I think it captured all of those feelings so well. And then the present day, like the second chance, was kind of their love story continued as adults. And it was just so good. Like, truly, I don't know if I've ever read a book that made me like crave all summer things more. It was the perfect read to start summer off with. I would highly recommend reading this if you're looking for a beach read, anything like that. Like, the way she describes the summer nights that the characters spent in this book just makes me want to like grab all of my friends and family and go sit outside by the beach on a back deck, barbecue, drinks, cocktails, you know the vibe. So it was just really good. Like, it did everything it needed to do and I really enjoyed it. So I think it's like a perfect 4-star for me. It's like nothing crazy 5-star, but I have nothing bad to say about it really. Loved it, highly recommend. And I was gonna try and read Ghosted because I am pretty much maybe a little less than halfway through. Like, I'm 200 pages into it. I'm a good way in, but I think I've like decided to stop reading it because the thought of it is just miserable. I was going to make myself read it because it is May 30th, which means I have whatever I can read tonight and then tomorrow to fit in finishing a final book for May. I like to like round it out perfectly. So I was gonna wanna keep pushing forward in that because I thought I would finish it and then I could include it in my May reading wrap up, all of that, but I just don't want to. It sounds miserable. So I'm gonna read this instead. I found this on my mom's bookshelf. Luckily for me, she has tons of books. And this actually sounds really good. It's a thriller and I'm just craving something like a thriller. Like, that Ghosted book is making me slumpy and I don't want that. So I am gonna start this. It seems like someone is murdered and the wife is the prime suspect. It sounds like just what I need. And honestly, I'm just gonna stop giving this little update and go read because I gotta get to it. Hey guys, a long time no chat. It is now Sunday. The last time I talked to you guys was Thursday, and as you can tell, I'm back in my apartment. I'm done with my week at home. It was a great week, and I'm up to 20 hours of reading, which means I read for 14 hours there. I probably thought I was gonna do a little bit more, but no, I feel like that was pretty good. I did a lot with my friends and my family, and summer stuff and beach and pool and walking with my sister, getting coffee, lots of workout classes, lots of walking. It was lots of fun. And of course, I also did some reading. And I did some reading this morning on the ferry home, but besides that, I haven't read anything else today. Or I also did read on the train, so I think I did like 2 hours, whatever. I'm up to 20 hours, which means we are in the home stretch, the final stretch. I think that this video will be done by tomorrow, which is Monday, which means that, like I predicted, or at least I think I predicted, it will take me 2 weeks, and if I finish tomorrow, it will exactly have taken me 2 weeks. So I am really enjoying this book. It is mystery thriller, like I said, and it is very crime focused. Like, you are walking through everyone solving the crime, which, like, it's the most thriller like that I have read in a while. Like, it's like you're watching one of those like Law and Order shows, something like that. Like, they even go into like blood splatter and like evidence and you're pretty much solving the crime, which I do enjoy. And I will say that I was really liking it in the beginning. I was like, oh my God, this is an amazing thriller. And I think it's because I was, from the very first chapter, questioning everything. I was like, oh my God, I need to know what happened. And that doesn't really happen to me usually in thrillers until a little bit longer on. I'm hitting a bit of a middle chunk where it's slowing down a bit. I think hopefully it will pick back up towards the end. I will say that the beginning was better, but overall I'm really liking this. I think it's very good. And I think my goal for the night is going to be to finish it. I have about 100 pages left, or or like 120. I'm on page 260. And I think that finishing this book tonight will get me pretty close to 24 hours, probably like somewhere in the 22, 23 hours. So I think that I'm just gonna go read this and get to it. It's 6:30 on Sunday and I have nothing else to do besides read for the rest of the night. So that's what I'm gonna do, and it's my favorite thing to do. Okay, so as you saw in one of the last few clips, I finished, what is it called? Oh, Never Tell. I finished Never Tell. I'm not going to go into it right now because I am almost done with all of my hours of reading for this video, and I'm going to do a little wrap up at the end, which will probably be pretty soon, so I figured I'll just save it for then. But long story short, for a little preview of my thoughts, I didn't like it very much. But I am now moving on to The 5-Star Weekend by Elin Hilderbrand, and I am loving it so far. I'm literally 19 pages in, but so far, so good. I'm really liking the writing style, just how the story is written. It's very unique. It's kind of like it's a narrator who kind of knows everything. Kind of feels like you are getting the story from almost like a fly on the wall or like a camera that is watching everyone. I don't know. It's like a very unique way to tell a story. It's kind of like an overseer, like telling everything, like laying out the whole scenery, kind of in like, I don't know, like a storybook or something like that. And I think it's really fun. And then also something I didn't realize is that all of her Nantucket books are like connected, which I do kind of wish I have read more of her books so that I would know more of the characters that she's referencing, but that is pretty cool and something I will take note of for future books because I already have a feeling that I'm going to be reading more of Ellen's books this summer. So I'm going to continue reading. I'm on I have 22 hours and 17 minutes down. So we have under 2 hours left. This is a very exciting moment because as you saw in the last clip, I just finished the 24 hours of reading. Actually, I did not just finish it. That was last night and that was Tuesday night. It is now Wednesday, which means this video took me 2 weeks plus a day, 15 days, which is kind of around what I expected. Like I think I broke down at the beginning of the video, I read about 2 hours a day, but that is like give or take a lot because there are some days where I read nothing. So if that was the case, it would have taken me 12 days, but it took me a little bit longer. It took me 15 days and I enjoyed making this video a lot because I feel like it was a fun theme and something to think about, but I didn't feel like the pressure to read 24 hours straight or read at least 2 hours a day or anything like that. Like it was kind of when I wanted to read, I just filmed and I set the clock up and the hours went on. Like it was very much so how much I realistically read and when I want to read, no pressure to read, which was fun. But I thought I would do a little recap on how many books I read, how many pages I read, that kind of stuff. But before we get into that, I wanted to go over the 2 final books that I was reading because I don't think I've really chatted to you guys about them yet. And those 2 books are Never Tell by Lisa Gardner and then The 5-Star Weekend by Elin Hilderbrand. Since I finished this book first, it only makes sense to talk about it first. And I ended up like honestly really not liking it. I think I gave it a 2.75 star rating, which is very low. Like for me to go into the 2s, I have to be really disliking it. I've only rated one other book in the 2s and this was not anywhere near as bad as that one, but this book just left me like very angry and frustrated and annoyed at the end. I literally closed this book and the only thought I had was WTF was that. So I feel like that says everything you need to know. But pretty much, I think I remember telling you guys that this book was off to a great start, and it really was. From the very beginning, I was like, wow, you're getting right into the mystery. Like, I was curious from the very first chapter, and it pretty much went all downhill from there. This book was very long. I think it was pretty much exactly 400 pages, and I just think it was way too much in the weeds, going over the same mystery, the same clues over and over and over again, so much so that I was like, come on, I need some new developments. Like I just got kind of bored and everything kind of just seemed unrealistic and silly. I'm kind of finding that in books recently. I hate when things just feel like I don't know, not real life. And this just didn't feel real to me. Like, also, the big crime mystery, I was like, really? That's what the whole thing was? It seemed like such a letdown of a reveal of what was actually happening. And then I think I remember telling you guys that I enjoyed the like mystery solving the crime aspect of this book, and I really was enjoying that. But then, like I said, they went so in the weeds of the clues and they kept going over everything over and over and over again, but it's like we weren't developing anything new. And it also went so in the weeds that it was like confusing. I was like, what is all this? What is going on? Like, I couldn't keep track. It wasn't making sense to me. I also feel like they had to do so much overtelling because it wasn't clear and it didn't make sense. And I think that's all I'm gonna say on this book. I feel like I could go on and on and on, but overall I didn't really like it, and I was just reading it to finish it and I could not wait for it to be over. I had zero curiosity by the end of it, and literally the twist at the end, absolutely, I was like a stone-faced brick wall. It didn't make me feel anything. I was just like, okay, yeah, I could have seen that one coming. Now for the 5-Star Weekend by Elin Hilderbrand. My feelings about this book at the moment are that I'm liking it, but I'm not loving it. I'm on page 122, which I think is about a third of the way through. And I'm just like, I am enjoying it. I like the summer vibes, but it's just a little bit boring to me. It's not really hooking me, keeping my attention. It doesn't feel super fast paced, but I am still liking it. And the premise of this book is that our main character, Hollis, she's like a 50-year-old woman. Her husband recently passed away and she is grieving. So she decides to do this thing called the 5-Star Weekend, which is supposed to help her. And she invites 4 of her friends from all the different phases of her life to her beach house in Nantucket for the weekend. And it's supposed to be like sisterhood, friendship, and healing for her in her grief journey. And right now we are at the start of the weekend. Everyone is just getting to Nantucket, and I am loving the Nantucket summer vibes. It's not like the same summer vibes as Same Time Next Summer. I can't really describe to you how it's different, but this kind of just gives me like very, like she's describing rooms and tablescapes and flowers and guest houses, and she's describing the furniture she has and dinner plans, and like it's very more hosting vibe and dinner party vibe and kind of like Martha Stewart-esque. Like the main character feels like one of those Martha Stewart ladies, or what's her name from like Magnolia Farm or Magnolia Table, Joanna Gaines. Like she is kind of like that woman, and I think the summer vibes are shining through in that way, like hosting, like I said, and I'm liking those. It makes me really want to go to the 5-Star Weekend. I wish I was one of her friends there. So that is one thing I'm liking. And then I also do like the way that Elin Hilderbrand writes. The narrator knows every little detail about everyone in the story, the main characters and then the side characters, which I think is a fun, fresh, like unique way to write. I also really like how there is so much history and details about all of the people on Nantucket and the town itself, and it just feels like very rich with detail and history. And then the one other thing that I think might prevent me from super loving this book, I'm not sure if it will, but it's very much a mom book. I've seen other people say this and I didn't really realize what they were saying, but it's very true because this is only my second Elin Hilderbrand, but I think her audience is like moms because all the characters in this book are like 50 years old. And it's just, it's not that of course I don't relate, but it's not like that's a huge problem. I don't feel like I need to relate all the time to the characters. Like I remember in Remarkably Bright Creatures, which is a book I loved this year, the narrator was like a 60, 70-year-old woman, and I loved that. But I think that was because she was just like one person. But in this book, it's all about these dynamics of all these 50-year-old people, like husbands and friends, and it's just very much not my exact life experience at the moment. That's about it for now. I feel like I have ranted on about both of these books, so let's just get into the recap so we can end this video. You guys have been watching it for long enough. Okay, so first I read 3 complete books from start to finish in this video. The first one I read was A Torch Against the Night. Then I read Same Time Next Summer, and lastly I read Never Tell, and you guys saw me start and finish these books, and that came to a total of 1,136 pages. Then we have the books that I started and ended this video with. So I started with Final Girls and I had already started the book, and I ended with the 5-Star Weekend and I didn't finish the book. I was on page 86 of Final Girls when I started this video, and it has 339 pages. 339 minus 86, that means I read 253 pages of Final Girls, and I have read 122 pages of the 5-Star Weekend. So if we add those together, we have 375 pages from these two books that I read like halfway through, which means we are at a total of 1,511 pages. And then last but not least, I read a bit of that book Ghosted. I didn't even bring it back to my apartment with me. I left it at home at my parents' house because honestly, I'm not gonna read it and it was a waste of my suitcase space. So I just left it there. And let's see how many pages I read of that book. I read 184 pages, which brings my total to 1,695 pages. So my overall recap one last time. I'm gonna count these like half books as one book, which when I put them with the 3 books that I completed, I have read 4 books and then Ghosted was a half. So in 24 hours, I read 4.5 books with about 1,700 pages. Honestly, I'm done with the math at this point, but I think that means it took me about 5 hours to finish each book. Of course, the books were of different lengths and the books also required like different brain energy from me. Like sometimes I would have to, you know, go slower, go faster, that sort of thing. And also some of my reading time was a little bit interrupted. Like maybe I was on the train with my boyfriend or I was on the beach with my friends or at home. A lot of times I read and my parents are watching TV in the background. So I go slower because it's just like a lot going on. But that is a rough idea of how many books I can read in 24 hours. I thought that this video was super fun to make. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you guys would want to see me do a 24-hour reading challenge all the way through. I've said before, I'm kind of like scared to do it and it doesn't sound like the most fun, but if you guys want to see me do it, I will try it out. Or if you like this time-based reading, anything like that, let me know in the comments if you would like to see more, you know, challenge-y based videos like this. I think they're super fun and give my reading a bit of like a theme. And I think that is it for me for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and don't forget to subscribe for more book content. I'll see you in the next one.